What's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles welcoming you to another edition of Lyles Figure Files. Back at it. Rest assured, still going to do the live edition tonight. I just really needed to get this off my chest right now. For those of you who've been following the channel for a long enough time, you know I've kind of had one toe, 5 toes into the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. I was right in from the start. Got that Action Comics 1000 Superman. Thought it was a fantastic figure. It needed double jointed elbows, but for the most part, a really impressive figure. And like, oh man, if these are the quality figures we're going to be getting, I'm not going to feel too bad that Mattel doesn't have the license anymore. And throughout it, the sculpting was really impressive. It felt like they were doing some fantastic work, making sure that the characters, the different figures, had unique sculpting as needed. Of course, you know, they've got to take a few shortcuts and rearrange some things and use parts that probably weren't the best choices for figures. And I forgave a lot of those because the price tag's $20. These figures are 7 inches. They weren't the typical 6-inch $20 offerings. And as most of those competitors started slowly raising prices, first from $22.99 to $24.99, the McFarlane toy figures were a pretty decent deal. And at $20, I can overlook a lot of things. Like, that was my point where I was like, yeah, I'm tired of this Bucky cap mold, but it's a $20 figure. I can only complain but so much. If I want a high-end, high-level figure, Mayfex is doing figures. If I want an even higher level figure, I can get Mezco. So I wasn't going to complain. I wasn't going to go do these long rants about, oh man, here's all the issues with these $20 Marvel Legends figures. I thought that was kind of like, why? Then they started raising the price, and then I became a lot more particular about what they were doing, pointing out more flaws because they were using the same exact $20 figure from way back in the day, 2015, and charging a new price for the same figure, same kind of offering that we were getting before. And now with less accessories, less articulation in some cases, and you name it. And then, of course, they got worse when they took the price up to $25. And all along, I was going, well, look what McFarlane Toys is doing. They're keeping these figures $20. And, you know, earlier on or late last year, McFarlane was like, yeah, we're going to have to raise these prices. So we saw that Steel, the new Superman, the classic S Superman and Nightwing go up to $22.99. And I'm like, I don't like that because I've had some issues. I've had some problems with McFarlane figures, notably the scaling being just way off. The fact that Kyle Rayner, Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold are the same height, in some cases taller than Martian Manhunter. The Nightwing from the Teen Titans Wave or the Titans Wave being noticeably shorter than Donna Troy. Just some wild, wacky scaling. The Tim Drake Robin from Nightfall being the same height essentially as the Nightfall Batman was just like, you're messing up. So I decided, all right, I'm not going to grab every figure in this line. I'm just going to get the adults who can kind of scale in properly enough with each other. And then McFarlane decided, you know what? $22.99 is not enough. And I did this video way back when. It's episode 195, which is wild to me because that's been a few episodes ago. And when he introduced this collector's edition line, and I said, there's a price hike series. There's nothing unique and nothing different with this line. It was, excuse me, we're charging a little bit more for really nothing. We got Sinestro from the Sinestro Corps look, 0 Hour Hawkman, and Firestorm. And, you know, when a price jumps up to $30, then I'm a lot more particular about things. I went, hey, Firestorm would be exceptional if his flaming flame was taller, bolder, wider, instead of this kind of partially done flame. I started picking out flaws to the figures, and that was kind of making me go, yeah, I don't know if I need to track this figure down. I wasn't stalking Walmart trying to get the Black Lightning figure. Didn't care about the too small Captain Atom figure because I realized I wasn't going to be a completionist in this line anymore. And, you know, you just take a look at the things that we got with these collector's edition figures, and it was really nothing else. It was nothing added, no extra value. And of course, if you're going to raise the prices, you got to put in more for the figures. And in this case, it was a black stand that I don't think anyone asked for. It was basically a car display setup. And if you ask most collectors, they never got this line to get collectible cards, one of figures, and preferably figures with a ton of accessories, great articulation that's scaled properly from one figure to the next. And this Sinestro, you see, he doesn't have anything that's like out of the norm in terms of what a regular offering would have. He's got his lantern, which you need for any Lantern Corps member, and he's got some, I don't even know what these are, handcuffs, quality design deals, but it was something. That's cool. He got a construct, but that's it. And he didn't even have the flight stand, which almost would justify it because those flight stands are pretty cool, but there was nothing else extra to this. And for $30, I'm like, where is my money going towards? This is trash. This isn't good at all. And then McFarlane was like, you have beer. Let's take it. And so we got the big reveal this week of a Crisis on Infinite Earth line. And it was really exciting to me when I saw the Earth 2 Superman or anything else. I was like, oh, cool. This is great. He's going into this. He gave us a mega fig of the Anti-Monitor. We're rolling through getting more of these Crisis characters, which to me is a dream line to get for my collection. We get this Earth 2 Superman, and this basically is the Superman that we've been asking for so long. He's got the light blue attire, and he's got the trunks that are actually the way they should be in the classic style. He's got the little button circle here. He's got the belt loops. Perfect old school Superman. There's no cuffs here, no lines around the end of his sleeves. It's a perfect old school Superman. Now, because his pieces and the figures can disassemble basically, I think I can still take these trunks and use them for the classic one and maybe swap these elbows, and then bam, I've got my classic Superman with this new one. But I'm looking, I'm like, why is Superman looking like he had some bitter prune juice? Not loving the head sculpt. This is Earth 2 Superman, who is pretty happy and pretty, I'm enjoying life. The life I have with my crew, the Justice Society of America, the All-Star Squadron, and my wife Lois. And this head sculpt, I don't get it. He looks really Wilford Brimley like. And then even worse, the temples. I mean, he's barely got any gray. And it's like, what is going on? That is a distinct element of the Earth 2 Superman in Crisis. So there's no confusion which is which between him and Kal-El. Again, not a huge amount of accessories. He's not a collector's edition figure. Note the lack of the black stand, and that's your telltale that, hey, this is that one. And, again, I think this is so wild that McFarlane Toys will show you the inspiration. And it's like, you're off from the inspiration. The S looks good. That looks pretty solid, on point with how it should look. He's got a cloth cape, and that's really cool, and that's really neat. But this head sculpt is just way off. I mean, yes, I could take white paint and make those temples better, but that's all. And as far as accessories, all he comes with are 2 hands and flying hands, so at least that's useful for Superman. And he's got, and all these figures, and they're sticking to their normal 4 figures to create a Build-A-Figure. In this case, we get the Monitor. So that's really good. We get a figure that directly goes with the Anti-Monitor figure we've got. He's not giant size. He doesn't need to be. We got the Earth 2 Superman, a pivotal character for Crisis. And we get 3 other really important Crisis characters. Really great character selections. Got Wally West, Kid Flash, and he's using that Blue Beetle mold. He's going to be too tall around any adult figure like the Flashpoint Barry Allen, but he was getting older anyway, so I don't mind that so much. I do mind these teeny fists. I don't know what's happening here, but it's like the hand just shrinks up with this massive glove cuff, and it just looks really weird and off. I like the head sculpt. I think that's good. I think they've done pretty good with their Wally West figures, but this hand looks really off. And because of this mold, I think he'll have really good articulation. You can pose him and do some really good stuff. Kid Flash is definitely an important character in Crisis as well. And while he doesn't have a plethora of accessories, again, at least he has these, running hands, not the Ezra Miller running, but just solid hands in running motion. That's cool. Little Scott Collins artwork. He clearly was not working on Crisis on Infinite Earths. I feel like this should have been the George Perez, Jerry Ordway setup with the card artwork, but whatever. I don't quite understand why my man Wally has a side eye, but that's just old school McFarlane for you. And let's check out the texture on the monitor's legs. Really nice work here. Details galore with those boots. So fantastic work on this sculpt of the monitor. Then we get Psycho Pirate and another really core member of this story. And he looks good, really good. Actually, I don't understand why he didn't get the just regular flesh tones here at this wrist joint peg, because his sleeves look weird the way they're done now. He's got great paintwork there. The Medusa mask looks awesome with the way that gold is hitting. Really nice work there. Really good looking figure. Looks like he's got great posability and can hit all kinds of poses. I would have loved to have seen an alternate head sculpt though, or just a removable mask, because that's part of his whole shtick. Where, I mean, again, we're showing off something here with this card artwork we don't have with the figure. And I think this is hilariously funny that with a card is featuring Flash and a prone beating down Psycho Pirate. So that's kind of weird on that front. More detail on the monitor. He doesn't come with anything. And I think there's a case where he could have just had some gesturing hands, acting as if he was channeling up people's emotions. Really think he needed to have the removable mask. I think that was really weird not to include that. You'll notice that he does not have a cloth cape. His just kind of curls up. Nice looking sculpt for a cape and pretty solid looking figure. So for me, this line is 3 for 3 with figures that I actually want with my McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line. Bring on any and all Crisis characters, and here are 3 really core, really essential members. Next up is a Spectre, and man, this is fantastic. All this texturing on his body, that was great. The head sculpt, fantastic. Best work I've seen on a Spectre figure, period. They got the shading done right with his eyes looking like goggles. That was cool. He's even got some splatter on his cape like he had it in Crisis. That looks a little bit off. I get what they're trying to do, but it didn't quite work so well. But they've done black inside with the shading. I think you can see that. That looks really good too. And the cape being in motion for him is fine. And then we get the added bonus of getting another Justice Society member to pair up with Alan Scott, Green Lantern. That's awesome. So we've got a really good deal here where we've got a great looking Spectre. We've got a pretty good Wally West and Kid Flash, the Psycho Pirate who looks good, just needed a removable mask setup to be fine. Really strong lineup, and this is really good. And the Earth 2 Superman, it just needs a few tweaks and we're all good. And the anti-monitor, not the anti-monitor, the monitor looks good. Looks like he's got a really thick plug for his cape to situate just fine in his belt. And the head sculpt of the monitor looks a little bit more aggressive than he should, but it's fine. It's whatever. I'm loving how the Spectre turned out. I'm like, this is awesome. Great job, Todd. You did it up big time. You created a wave of figures that I can so get behind. You've done it. You won. And I can't wait to get these figures. They look amazing. They look awesome. Let's make it happen. Let's get to it. And then came the mega ridiculous bomb drop of, oh yeah, time for the price of these figures. And that price of the figures, $39.99, 9 times. That's terrible. I mean, there's just no other way to break that down and explain it. $39.99. And again, this isn't some wacky random variant of Batman, Wonder Woman, no artist rendition, the McFarlane remix take on something, which if you want to make that an exclusive to your site, no problem, go nuts. But gold label for classic characters like this that people actually wanted is so lame. It's like, what are we doing in $40 per figure? That means every flaw. I mean, the figures have to be flawless, and you can't have something where, oh man, it was good enough. Good enough does not exist at this point. This is where we take a look at these hands from Wally West and go, yep, that's not getting it done, dude. That's a no for me. I mean, just look at these hands. They look really ridiculous. I mean, they look like they're super sized down. And hey, look, maybe Wally's a little bit too thick and too big now. So all these problems with the figures that I'm fine ignoring in most cases, especially for a $20 figure, it starts to matter. And to me, you can't do your line like that. You can't do your customers who have been so faithfully into this thing and just go, now we're going to charge the entire world for them. So, you know, there's a bundle to make it easier for you. It's not that expensive if you bundle. It's $135, which takes the figures down to $33, and that's still not great. And you know, this is coming in March, so that means we'll get here sooner. And then you know, you could probably do the 10% off, which might eliminate the shipping. But these figures are not cheap, and that's the real problem because McFarlane has really gone hard with these. Hey, let's make this stuff happen, and you all want it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make it happen for you. And I'm just trying to run through. I'm pulling this up through my off the window here, but the shipping I'm pretty sure is going to be ridiculous as always, where it's just like, what's happening, Todd? Why is it shipping so much? And I'm pretty sure it's $15. Let me just go through because I'm so curious and I just need to see for myself how bad this is going to be with the shipping, but I know it's not going to be great. And you know, if you're already charging $40 per figure, that's going to be a real issue. So let's go ahead and take these Niner figures out of my cart because you know, don't need them there. All right, let's do this all the way through because I really need to break this down fully and properly because I don't want to just be like, oh, it's going to be so much and it's not, and then it's like, oh, what's totally wrong with that price? So let's see here. I've added it back to my cart. I'm signed in. And let's see here. Let's just go. What would the shipping for this actually be? Because this is important. All right. So the shipping method would be the cheapest option is $15.87, which is about the same you pay for any figure for Todd if you got this shipped through the website. So that would take the total of this wave back up to $158.97. And that is a ridiculous price point. So now that I've factored that in, I have to keep this rolling because it's just going to be an absurd amount now when you break this down. So 158 divided by 4, you get back up to your $40 for your figures. I didn't include sales tax on that, so it's going to be even more. And that's just terrible. I mean, the whole deal, why I was overlooking so many flaws and problems was, hey, the line's only $20. It's the best deal with figures right now. Now the value is shot. Unless these figures are going to come to Ross and Ollie's, which are not because they're going to be exclusive to this toy shop in McFarlane. It's just a bad deal. And for me, this is, I don't know if I'm ready to start queuing up Boys to Men, but it does start to feel like I'm reaching the end of the line here with these DC Multiverse figures. I'll probably still pick up some like that Red Tornado. He can go along my classic JLA, but getting all the villains, getting all the characters, probably not going to happen because we're going to start throwing figures up behind a $40 exclusive paywall. And I know it's like, well, you're going to pay for a HasLab. It's different. Those things have more value. This is the same standard figure as normal that we could find in any store right now for $20, $22. And now I know it's a Build-A-Figure, so that would be $25. So it's just bad form. It's a bad look for them, especially since there's no advances to these figures. We're still getting the same figures we got from 3-4 years ago. Now we're just paying a whole lot more. And it sucks to be a DC fan in that case because, you know, for all the bellyache and the griping that I think some of us have for Marvel Legends, they have consistently cranked out this line of figures. So since Hasbro started with the line, and I'll go with 2014, 2013, when they started, hey, let's make better versions of these Marvel Legends. That's 10, 11 strong years of cranking out Marvel Legends figures. And granted, those 2013, 2014, even 15 figures basically all need to get replaced. But you have an extensive collection of Marvel characters. With DC, it's scattered. The winner still is probably Mattel, just in terms of the scope of the line. But man, I wish Mayfex would just do more DC figures. Like, scrap all your Marvel options, your Star Wars, everything else. Just focus on DC, because I'll pay $90 for a better version of figures that has all the accessories, all the gadgets, all the attention to detail that I really want in these figures, as opposed to a $40 figure with questionable articulation, scaling that's all over the place, paint that doesn't make sense, and just wacky stuff. And if we're lucky, we'll get more than one accessory. So it's a bad day for McFarlane. It's a bad day for McFarlane collectors, because this is bad news. And then there are people going, hey, man, it sucks for y'all that don't have $40 to drop. I'm buying these figures. I'm like, it's not the right message, because they're going to make $50 figures. You're going to keep paying for them. And it's just, I need more. Like I've said consistently, with any line that wants to charge more, give me more along with that higher price tag. McFarlane, it's not doing it with the DC Multiverse these days. So I don't know how much longer we're going to go, but when it is that time, I'll queue up Nate, Sean, Mike, Wanya, and have them serenade us out with this one. For now, that's it for me. I'll be back on the live. Get your thoughts together on this. I want to hear from y'all what y'all think about this McFarlane crisis wave and this ridiculous, crazy price hike. For now, see y'all later. This episode of Lyle's Figure Files has been filed.